Baudrillard's work, The Consumer Society, Myths and Structures, analyzes the late 20th century capitalism, offering a powerful critique of how consumption becomes the central organizing force of modern social life. The rise of affluent Western societies after World War II transforms consumption from a secondary economic sphere concerned with satisfying needs into the primary moral, social, and symbolic system that structures daily existence. Consumption no longer describes what people do with objects, rather, it describes what people do with meaning. The modern individual consumes signs, images, and differences in order to participate in society, maintain status, and construct identity. Baudrillard's argument builds on structuralist semiology, sociological critique of capitalism, and anthropological ideas of ritual, advancing the claim that consumption is now the dominant myth and liturgy of the contemporary world. He begins by describing the age of consumption as an era defined by abundance, where goods are produced and circulated in quantities unimaginable in earlier societies. However, this abundance produces a paradox. Despite the proliferation of goods, individuals do not experience genuine freedom or satisfaction. They are caught in a moral obligation to consume. Society frames consumption as a pathway to happiness, fulfillment, and participation in modern life. The consumer must continually pursue the latest products, technologies, and experiences to validate their identity and maintain social belonging. This shift marks the emergence of consumption as an ethical system. Individuals judge themselves and others not by their labor or moral virtue, but by the codes of lifestyle and taste that consumption makes visible. The first major section of the book analyzes what Baudrillard calls the formal liturgy of the object. He looks at the sheer quantity of goods surrounding the modern individual, arguing that profusion is a defining feature of consumer society. Objects are produced in endless series and made ceaselessly available through markets, advertising, and media. Unlike handcrafted goods of earlier periods, modern objects derive their meaning from seriality. Televisions, refrigerators, clothing, and gadgets are understood in relation to countless other similar items. The abundance of goods creates not satisfaction but a perpetual desire for more, because the value of objects lies not in use but in their position within a system of differences. Consumption is therefore a kind of liturgy, a repetitive ritual in which individuals continually reaffirm their belonging to a system defined by material abundance. The liturgical quality becomes more pronounced in what he calls the miraculous status of consumption. Modern society treats consumption as a solution to all problems: economic, social, personal, and existential. Advertising, media, and political discourse present consumer choice as the ultimate freedom, capable of delivering happiness, equality, and meaning. Baudrillard sees this as a myth. Consumption does not resolve human problems but disguises them. However, the myth remains powerful because it offers a utopian image of society in which everyone has access to goods and participates in a democratic culture of choice. In reality, this utopia masks deeper inequalities and structural coercion. The drive for constant growth is central to this myth. The economy becomes dependent on the cycle of perpetual production and consumption, creating the vicious circle of growth. Planned obsolescence, goods designed to break or quickly become outdated, ensures that consumers remain locked into the cycle. The system's stability depends not on meeting needs but on generating new desires, often manufactured through advertising and the value of novelty. Consumption becomes a self sustaining mechanism that produces itself independently of human need. The second part of the book develops a theory of consumption that challenges traditional economics. Consumption's primary function is social, not practical. Individuals consume in order to communicate their position within society. This is the social logic of consumption. Goods or signs that signal class, taste, aspiration, and lifestyle. People do not buy a car merely to travel or a dress merely to cover their bodies. They buy them for what these items mean within the system of social differences. Consumption, therefore, serves as a symbolic language which people express who they are or who they want to be. Baudrillard builds this argument by distinguishing between use value, that is practical function, exchange value, that is economic value, and sign value, that is symbolic meaning. In consumer society, sign value dominates. The symbolic meaning attached to objects outweighs their utility or market value. This is visible in luxury goods branding, fashion, and even everyday commodities, where status and meaning become the real motivators of choice. The idea of personalization reflects this shift. Modern goods are marketed as opportunities for self expression, but he argues that personalization is an illusion. The system offers only small variations, a different color, style, or model, while maintaining a deep standardization. The individual believes they are choosing, but their choices are pre structured by the system. The third section examines the role of mass media, the body, sexuality, and leisure in the system of consumption. He criticizes mass media as an institution that does not merely transmit information but organizes representations, neutralizes and contradictions, and produces a controlled form of social meaning. Media homogenizes experiences, shaping desires and expectations while giving the illusion of freedom and participation. This mediated reality becomes more real than lived experience, preparing individuals to accept the codes of consumer society. Baudrillard's boldest arguments is that the human body becomes the finest consumer object. Modern culture turns the body into a project that must be managed, enhanced, displayed, and consumed. Fitness, beauty, hygiene, sexuality, health, and risk management become arenas of consumption. The body is transformed into a sign among signs, judged and valued according to socially constructed ideals. In this system, individuals become both consumers and commodities. Leisure, which is expected to be a realm of freedom, also becomes structured and obligatory. Modern leisure is not genuine relaxation but a staged activity designed to optimize performance and maintain social integration. The idea of wasting time becomes taboo, revealing that leisure itself has become productive, another ritual within the consumer system. Even the moral obligation of care and health, which Baudrillard calls the mystique of solicitude, demonstrates how individuals internalize the demands of the system, believing they are freely choosing what the system imposes. The final chapters confront the darker side of affluence, the rise of deviance, violence, and anomie. Consumer society produces pathologies not through scarcity as older societies did, but through abundance and overstimulation. The system promises fulfillment but delivers alienation. It creates expectations it cannot satisfy. Individuals become trapped between the myth of happiness and the reality of dissatisfaction. In the conclusion, he states that consumption has replaced production as the primary source of alienation. Traditional capitalism exploited labor. Consumer capitalism exploits desire. The individual no longer sells their labor to the system, they give their identity, their dreams, their imagination. Baudrillard calls this the end of the pact with the devil, the moment when society trades genuine freedom for the myth of happiness through consumption.